Welcome to the Mind of Grace Conscious Book Club, and we're here tonight to talk about insights number 8 and 9. And number 8 is
early failure often leads to success.
all right, and number 9, which we'll get into a little bit later, is the hunger created by unfulfilled desire is the main cause of human happiness. So unhappiness, right, of human unhappiness. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our first insight. So what are your thoughts about insight number 8?
I don't know if you all got the email. I sent it kind of late. I put down some questions, like if you want to kind of go through the list if we can't think of anything. But for me, it made me think of how many times do you have to fail at something before you give up?
Right.
And does the source of the criticism, does that have an effect on your confidence? So,
Right.
Or how many times do you have to do something before you succeed at it? You know, because a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but there are certain things for me. If I try, I give myself that 1, 2, 3 strike, then leave alone. You know, so if I do it one time and it's not successful, then I do it again, it's not. Third time, I'm like, oh, maybe that's not for me, so I leave it alone.
Now that's a good point. How many times do you try and fail before you say, okay, this isn't working? Or do you look at something and say, well, maybe it's not the end point that's the problem, but maybe I need to try a different way to get to that end point?
Right. My thought about is how many times do you, like I said, like unfulfilled desires? How many times do people not try at all?
Right.
You know, they don't even they have the feeling and the thought to want to do something, but they never go out and actually try to do it at all.
Right.
And I think that right there is what I think a lot of people have issues with, especially when they get older and they say, you know, I never did this. I always wanted to do this, but I never tried to do it. You know, and that can lead to a lot of deep hurt.
That made me think about a lot of parents, because they didn't do this, and this as they were growing up, so they want to put their child in this, put their child in that,
right.
you know.
Try to live it out through the child. Through the children.
Not realizing they're probably wearing their child out because they want their child to fulfill the things that they didn't get a chance to do growing up.
Well, I know like a lot of examples that he used in this particular insight, these people spend a lot of time on whatever they were trying to accomplish. So, so like you were saying, you give yourself the 3 strike rule. Sometimes these things take decades to work out. So how committed are you to your idea? And you know, what makes a person just say, you know what, this is not gonna work? Especially if it's a passion that you have. You know, if you have a passion, say like they had in the book, to paint or something. And you just constantly got negative feedback all the time. Do you give up, or do you continue to try to work that out?
I think it goes back to what we talked about with the dream thing, you know, last time. If it's something that keeps coming up, it keeps nagging at you, you keep running into it, then maybe it's not something that consumes your life. You know, it's not anything that just takes over and it becomes, you're obsessive, that it's the only thing that you're working on. But it becomes something that you keep coming back to, because if it is going to take decades for you to reach that goal, then you can keep building on it a little bit at a time, like when we were talking about, those careers.
When you were, just as you were saying that, I was actually thinking about our last session and our discussion with the breastfeeding business. I've worked at that. I've actually even established the business to do it. And what came to mind when I was reading this was maybe what we call so-called failures are nothing more than means of us getting to the goal, things that we need to work out to achieve what we're trying to get to. So actuality, it's a revelation of how to achieve it.
Right.
This is just how we identify getting to the goal that we're after.
Right.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right. And I think it's important too that it says early failure
Right.
often leads to success. I think that's an important thing. Like Juan talked about the fact that once you're older, and not that, you know, people who are older can't start a dream, because I know someone personally who started writing a book, and she's choosing in her 60s to finish the book now.
Exactly.
You know, and that's, you know, but she did do all of these things all of her life, you know, that led up to the content of that book. You know, so how important is it for us to, like Flo was saying, you know, push our children and encourage them to follow, you know, the things that they want to do, to try. You know, when they say, well, I don't think I can do that, you know, if you want to do it, to try.
Yeah.
Right, that's a great point. I mean, we have so much power, I mean, within ourselves. And I think that, you know, people dream. You know, we dream about, we say we want to do, we want this, want this. But a lot of people really just don't follow their dreams. We really don't do it. We don't follow the bliss, as they say. We just kind of halfway go through life and do, you know, kind of cavalier. But we really just don't go out and just say, you know, I'm going to put it all.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that's because of the source of our criticisms? Maybe the people closest to us are the ones that are telling us, I don't know, maybe you know, you got a family right now, you need to focus on that, or you're getting kind of old, you know, you're 30-something years old, you need to focus on this more, you need to be more realistic. Does that play a part as well?
Yes, I think so. I know it does. I mean, just like Christy was saying, you know, when you come into some criticism about your business that you start or your idea, you know, it's a test to see how committed you are to it, and also is there to sharpen your idea, sharpen your business. Because before you get all out there and get, you need to know all different perspectives, negatives about what you're doing, so you can know how to handle it. You know,
can we take criticism? You think we can take it?
Oh, no, that's a good question. I'm just saying that's a good question.
Can you take criticism?
I said, real quick.
I think that people who are going to succeed can take criticism. People who, you know, because you know, again, it said early failure. That means that you're gonna fail again, or you know, or it's gonna take a while for you to get to that success. And people without that type of perseverance can handle criticism. I think those people can handle somebody telling them, you ain't gonna do this, you know, and they do it anyway, you know, or that pushes them to want to do it, you know. Those people that tell you no, you know, are the people that push you towards that yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, looking at some of these stories, I think, well, in my opinion, Abraham Lincoln had it the worst, you know, right when he was like, you know, sound like a suicide letter to me. Like he was just super depressed, you know, to his friend. And then I think, I guess that letter kind of encouraged himself. He motivated himself to go ahead and say, let me try this one more time. And then he finally got what it was he was seeking, you know. But just looking at the stories, I guess maybe I should take my 1, 2, 3 strike thing back. But you know, just looking at how you should push yourself to try again. If that's something that you really want to do, you know, work it.
All right, we're kind of limited to the baseball psychology. You know, 1, 2, 3, and you out.
Yeah,
you know,
that's me right there.
That's it. Yeah.
But doesn't that kind of make you afraid to challenge yourself again? Like when you constantly get bombarded with negative feedback. It's easy to say, you know, just stay encouraged and you can do it, you can do it.
Right.
But when bills come, when your marriage is about to fall apart, if your home falling down, or, you know, when you get just bombarded with every day, when it gets tough, how do you stay encouraged and say, you know what, I got to make this work. I got to believe in this. I got to make this work.
I think, I mean, you have to have a very, very strong inner drive about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like this. When you growing up, and I'm gonna say this. I always think it's good that you surround yourself with successful people too, if you can. You need to try to have a relationship with somebody that is positive, that's done it. You know what I'm saying? Go out and talk to people. Yeah, you need a mentor because when you see people doing it, it's better for you to stay on track. Kind of like riding a bicycle. I remember when I was a kid. I was looking as a kid, you looking like, how is these kids riding on this bicycle with 2 wheels? But they was having success doing it. Yeah. I was getting on it, I was falling. Yeah. Okay? Eventually, I made it. But what kept me doing it was I kept seeing the people, the possibility that they was actually riding the bike.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point, one, because somebody, 9 times out of 10, most of the things that we come up with are not totally 100% original ideas. Somebody has written a book. Somebody has had a business. Right. It may not be the type. Similar. It may not be the same type, but somebody has, set that outline up. Right. And so it's possible to write a book. It's possible to have a business. Exactly. And so, your only thing then is to look at it and say, I can do this.
That goes back to the question you had asked about how do we get our children, how do we show our children or get our children to pursue their ideas and their goals or whatever. It's by example. Right. We are the best example. And them seeing us pursue our dreams and our goals, like one said, riding the bike, he was falling off, he kept falling off his bike, but he was watching those other kids ride their bike, which encouraged him to keep on going. Yeah. So that's what we need to do for our children. Right. Be that example. Keep going after our dreams. And they're watching. Right. We don't know they're watching, but they're watching. Oh, yeah. And they're seeing us. They see mom and daddy, they might not have got the first time, they might not have got the second time or third, but they kept after it. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so then sometimes even though we don't pursue it, but they saw that we kept after it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that will be that driving force for them.
I think example. That's the reason that when I graduated high school and went to college, I made it to, I was what they call, a rising junior. I was headed into, my junior credits when I had my oldest son who became sick and I had to leave school. And I chose to, take out of school and concentrate on my family, raise my children, and all of that kind of thing. And when I had my last child, I said, you know what? And I had taken classes in between that time, but this is probably maybe 4 years in between that time. Right. And I said, at 25, 26 years old, I was like, I have to finish school because at this age, at this stage of the game, a high school diploma is not, gonna get it. You have to have some further training in something. Right. And I wanted to be able to tell my children, go further. That I finished. That I started something and I finished it. And so that was my main reason for going back. And then I went back and ended up, making it into a career. Right. But that wasn't my intention. I'm thankful for it. But it wasn't my intention. But, that's one thing I didn't want to be able, for them to say, well, Mama, you didn't go back. I wanted to be able to tell them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So what else you got, Kim?
Let's see. I guess we kind of hit on all the questions for insight number 8. I guess the final one just says, how do you stay positive and encouraged if you continue to get negative feedback, and when do you give up? Is there a point where you have to say, you know what, this is it, I need to just, this is not gonna work out? Especially if it is a passion of yours. When do you say, this is not gonna work?
Right. I saw something on television, flipping through the channels earlier today, and there was a woman, and she wanted to be an event planner, and she was staying at home with her sister. She was staying with her sister, and she had been staying with her for a while, and her sister told her, you know, you might need to think about getting a real job, you know. And, you know, she's staying with somebody, you know.
Right.
So, okay, I need to do something different because I'm infringing, my dreams are infringing on somebody else's.
That's right.
So, she went and got a day job, you know, but she continued to follow that. So, what do? Do you give up on whatever it is that you're trying to succeed at? Or do you just go ahead and find another way to get there and still work on it, still do it?
Right.
I think that's the answer. Maybe you shouldn't give up on it, but maybe you should say, okay, I got bills to pay. I do need to get a job. So let me just get a job, and maybe use that money or those funds to kind of fuel whatever your project is, kind of on the side.
Right.
And you know, to continue to keep trying to get it done.
Right. I can say for an example, when I was growing up, I wanted to. You know, I listened to a lot of hip hop, and I wanted to be a conscious rapper. I wanted to rap. I mean, I remember listening to Public Enemy and stuff like that, and I wanted to do it. I mean, I wanted to be on the stage and stuff, and now, you know, I mean, I'm getting a little older now. I'm like,
you don't need to be up in the studio.
I don't want to do that.
You are not
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like this. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily want to. I don't want to do that no more. But the dream has evolved. I still write poetry.
Right.
I still like to do spoken word.
Yes, true.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
The idea can
evolve.
Yeah.
And that's what has happened with my first thing when I was a kid, wanting to rap. Like Run DMC, Public Enemy, and LL and all them other cats. You know.
My favorite song. You know, I used to love her. My favorite song, I used to love her.
Yeah, by Common.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what you just said. You know, hip hop. It evolved. She grew up.
She grew up. That's right.
She grew up
That's
and
right.
became,
That's right.
you know, and became a woman. That's your story.
That's it. That's it. I love that song.
Insert song here.
I love that song. That's right.
Insert song here. But I think, you know, one of the important things, like Flo said about the people who were in these stories, you know, was the amount of time that, you know, they committed to things. I mean, you know, through death, through injury, you know, through struggles and all of those types of things. So
through divorces.
Right, you know. So again, you know, when we're pushed, and I think, you know, that both of these insights kind of flow into each other. So when you're pushed to the limit, you know, how do you personally keep pushing on? Juan said that you need to have some kind of inner strength. What personally can you say? If each one of you, you know, or, you know, a couple of you give an example of a time when you wanted to stop, what made you keep going? What pushed you through that early failure?
Oh, that's a good one.
I know.
I guess definitely the passion for it. And I think I'm kind of like the lady that wrote the Harry Potter novel, just kind of be just a little bit discreet. I know in another chapter we spoke about speaking about it, we talk about it, but you know, kind of be just a little discreet with it, share it just a little bit, but definitely have that passion for it, and just not give up, but maybe take a small break and then try it again. You know, go back to it. That's probably the you know, road I would take to.
I know for me, it takes a little divine intervention. Sometimes you just gotta pray about it. I mean, honestly, just seriously get down and just say, look, something needs to happen. Right. This is, we gotta make something happen. You need to intervene. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, it works. Prayer, meditation, it works.
Right.
So for me, that's what kind of helps me keep, searching, or to keep trying to figure out what my passion is, or whatever it is. You just gotta pray about it. Just get quiet and get still and ask for some guidance.
Right.
Well, as I've said about my breastfeeding, I guess I'm so passionate about it, and I've been there where I feel like I was just finna say, bump it. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna help those that need help.
Yeah.
And every time I said before, like the last session we had, every time I say this is it, somebody calls me and needs help. It's like it's God saying, not yet. You need to go back and regroup and figure out how you can get to the destination. Mm-hmm. And that's what keeps me going. Mm-hmm. I feel like if I'm supposed to quit, things wouldn't keep coming. So that right there is like a sign from God.
Yeah. You
on the right path. You just need, like Kim said, some divine intervention and as how to get to that destination. Mm-hmm. To get to, because you're doing what you want to do. You're actually helping. Mm-hmm. You're helping. Mm-hmm. But it's just not in the way that you want it to happen. You know, it's more ways to skin a cat.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
And so just go with the flow of it. I used to, think I want this to be my career. I want to, maybe it's not going to be one of those things where I just make a lot of money. Maybe it will in time. Yeah. But for now, just go with the flow.
Right.
And that's what I tell myself. And that's what keeps me going back to it.
Right. Mm-hmm. And when those failures come, then what do you think is the purpose of those failures? I know we talked about those people who, are negative, they come up against you. Their purpose is, to kind of help you critique things. But think about, I was thinking, what made me think of this question was, Juan was watching some football game last night. I guess, I don't know what football, I don't want to know because it might not be my team. But they playing today.
It was the Razorbacks.
Oh, the Razorbacks, okay.
Hold on.
All right. So Christy had told him about a dip that I made at a women's meeting that we had, and Juan wanted the dip. Well, the story about that dip is, I'm a home chemist.
Put stuff together.
Yeah. So that dip evolved through my friends' stomachs. It started out as one thing, and they were like, "Oh, this kind of salty," Mm-hmm. Okay, well that one we gonna throw that one away. Yeah. Like that was a failure at that party. Right. before it eventually, I had to have guinea pigs. Took 3 or 4. It took you along the way. It took 3 or 4 times before I got to the point.
Well, you worked out all the kinks.
We sure did.
We had a dip last night, and it was awesome. I said, "This is the best doggone cheese."
They kept saying it.
Right. We basically got time to just work.
Look at the recipe. I want that recipe.
It's the best dip ever, Mama.
Yeah.
It's so good.
At the end of the screen. But, my point about that is that if my friends' tummies hadn't, gotten sick through those failures, you all wouldn't have had the opportunity to enjoy that
It was
and nor us enjoy the one we had, when we had it. So
I guess poisoning people, sending them to the toilet, that's another good. Okay, that's more good.
It's a early failure. But
you have to have guinea pigs.
That's my point. That is my point. Yeah. That when we were talking about, of course you have to keep things to yourself, but at some point you have to try it on somebody. At some point you have to take it out because you can't determine if it's a success or not. You need somebody else to determine if it's a success.
Right.
So when J.K. Rowling wrote the Harry Potter series, she had to let someone read it first, and she said her sister read it and enjoyed it and encouraged her to go forward.
Right.
You know.
Now she's a billionaire.
Right. And I'm sure she gave her sister a couple of dollars.
She better.
You know, signed
Yeah.
a couple of copies.
Yeah.
But, you know, she got a first edition of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
You know, sitting at her house.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I think, you know, that's an important thing that you have
Right.
to do. You have to share, you know, or try, you know,
Yeah.
your
Right.
things out with
So
somebody.
don't be afraid of criticism and failure.
Right.
That's right.
And you
Sum
know
it up.
what? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That was a lesson that I learned. You know, initially when you get the criticism,
Mm-hmm.
you're not always receptive to it.
That's
Right.
right.
It takes getting criticized and getting that criticism to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And that has helped being criticized has helped me so much because it took me back to the drawing board. It took me back to
Right.
things that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I got you know, when I got a question thrown out that I didn't know, let me go back, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it sharpened me in areas that I wasn't sharp, you know, in the beginning.
Right.
So it's like it's been a lesson. Like, this is why I say what they so-called fairs or what we so-called fairs are nothing more than means of us getting the tools to succeed.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's all good.
It is. It
Yeah.
is all good.
Mhm.
And I think the important thing about that is to realize that if you consider yourself a mature soul,
Right.
then you should value the opinions that other people give you
Right.
about the things that you're doing.
That's right.
And you
Right.
should be able to take that in
That's right.
and receive it if it's, you know, if it's constructive. And
Right.
if it's not, then you should be able to learn
discern.
something from that
Right.
anyway.
Right.
And say, well, you know what? I will never tell this person
Anything
about
else.
this. You know, I know
Right.
not to discuss it with this person.
Right.
Because they're, you know,
Right.
trying to crush
Right.
this
You're
dream
dreaming.
that I have,
Right.
you know. So I
Right.
know not to depend on them for an opinion.
Right.
But when somebody lovingly comes to you and says, girl, you need
Right.
to take some of the salt out of that, you know, right. Then you taste it. Don't just get mad and say, no, it was perfect
Right.
and you haven't
Right.
tasted it yet.
Right.
You know, you tasted it and, oh, okay, she was right.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
You know.
Right.
So you have to learn how to discern
How to discern.
between,
Right.
you know,
That's right.
That's so
those,
true.
those people.
It's so true.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
yeah,
this-
let's get in.
Yeah, let's get into the juicy stuff. This kind of flows into insight number 9.
Yeah.
Are you
It
ready?
says the hunger created by unfulfilled desire is the main cause of human unhappiness. The first question I had was, and this kind of piggybacks off the last insight, is what is the difference between desire and a goal or a passion? How do you know the difference? Because this is saying that unfulfilled desire is the main cause of human unhappiness. We can look at that a couple of different ways, but how do you know the difference between, like, say, if this is a passion of yours, or is it something that you desire? Like we were saying, like, how do you know when to let it go or to give it up? How do you know? How do you distinguish between the two? How do you know?
I mean, you know, just, you know, whether I don't know what's right or wrong or not, but
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a desire is like deep seated within the self. I mean, it's like it's more related to the emotional attachment of that individual person. And emotional may be the wrong word, but I'm trying to grasp it. You know, and a goal is like something that, okay, you can look at my life here. Okay, by this time I need to be doing this.
Right.
I need to be doing that. Okay, hopefully by this time I'm went to this, took this class and such and such. I mean, I think it's a little bit different as far as the feeling behind it. To me, you know, I don't know.
Well, the reason I asked, the reason I asked is because this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. And it says, page 69, I believe, it says the Buddha taught that all life is suffering. And I read this somewhere else too, where it says a great philosopher once said, the world is not a problem for a person with no preferences. So it's like if you don't have any expectations, it's hard to kind of get emotionally entangled into these things. But can you look at that as like being apathetic, like saying, or laziness? If you say that, okay, well, I don't have any desires. whatever comes, I'm cool with it. Is that being apathetic, or is it being lazy, or?
I think so. I mean, I think that you have to, we're human. You know, we're on this, you know, this human realm, living these human lives. You have something that you're going to desire. I mean, even if it's peace, you know.
You'll do whatever you need to do to get that peace.
Right. You know, if peace is your desire, not your goal, and I think goal is a measurement.
Right.
And you know, a desire is an accomplishment, something that you want to obtain. And if peace is your desire, I don't think that there's anything wrong with attaching yourself to a desire to have peace, because the first thing you're going to have to do is learn how to have peace within yourself. And so if it's something that helps you to grow, your desires, I think, are things that help you to grow. They're not, I don't think that they're things that inhibit you. I think that when people hear the word desire, they think of something that they're lusting after, you know. And, you know, don't get it twisted for the people who, you know, read this insight, you know, and it was talking about this man and the desire that he had wanted in his relationship.
Right.
The basis of that desire was not simply the physical, you know, thing that he wanted. It was that there was something else that he wanted. It was like he set these goals and measurements for himself. And he felt like there's this one thing I haven't done. You know, there's this one thing that I haven't done, and he put it out there. Like, you know, that's one trophy I didn't get.
So like a bucket list kind of. But so do you disagree with the insight, or?
No, I don't disagree with the insight. I just don't want people to get confused by this particular man's desire and, you know, and what he felt like, you know, he lost. And I guess, should we talk about the story and what we felt about what we felt about the story? So the particular man, you know, just quick and dirty, as Dr. Gibson says a lot when he's on the radio show, is a friend, you know, was having difficulties in his marriage, and it turned out that, you know, he had a list of things that he wanted, you know, to do in his life, and one of them was to have a threesome with his, at that time, I think, girlfriend or fiance and another person. You know, that was a goal he wanted to have. And so moving on down through his life, he and his wife ended up having problems in their relationship, and it turned out she was having an affair with a woman. And so then, you know, it became a problem. But the problem for him was that, you know, okay, well, I don't want this. I'm not in college, you know. Now, you know, and that was, you know, something, again, when we talk about our goals and desires, when they evolve and they mature, you know, that was something that he may have wanted at one time, but, you know, he put it out there.
But then that goes back to what they were saying about unfulfilled desire being a cause of unhappiness. So are you saying that if I desire something, and that it just kind of supports what he was saying about if you desire something and you never get it worked out, all these other things start to happen in your life, like your marriage fall apart or this fall apart. You know, you start having all these difficulties because you want to do whatever it is you wanted to do. So is that a bad thing, or should you just not have any desires? Should you just be, I'm just gonna go with the flow and just let whatever comes, I'm just gonna roll with it, you know?
I don't know. I think that in the story, it was important that he had an opportunity to live out his desire, because he realized that I don't want this no more. It was like, you know, this not what
that ain't what I thought it was
gonna be. You know what I'm saying? And you take that and apply it to any situation. a lot of times, like today, me and Chris was in Walmart, and she was talking about there was a young lady in there that had a hair. Christy has natural hair, you know, so she was trying to she wanted to do something different with it. Well, this girl had her hair long before. Now she has it cut. Now, you know, Christy's thinking about doing that.
Right.
And now, you know, the other girl's like, I want mine like yours. You see what I'm saying? I mean, the tables flip and turn back and forth.
Right.
Yeah. And Chris said, yeah, I understand. But until
I told her she fed her desire.
She fed her desire.
Right.
To get it cut.
To get it cut.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was the important thing about this is that he didn't, you know, jump on that opportunity. I think that's when the problem comes in, where it says the hunger created by that unfulfilled desire. If you have something that you don't feed or acknowledge, you know, you don't acknowledge it, you don't feed it, you don't share it, you know, with other people, you know, or try to pursue it, then it becomes something that eats away at you. You know, then, you know, Christy, you know, sits around and she constantly finds a spot and pick on her hair until she has to cut it because she's, you know, picked at it so much because she has this unfulfilled desire for wanting to cut it. You know, and people do that, you know.
Well, I think, like I said, this is something that I've been reading about recently, and in studying Buddhism and trying to understand this one thing, because that's one of the Four Noble Truths, is that unfulfilled desire creates unhappiness. I think the point is that you have to understand what is causing the hunger. I read another example once in an article that says, it was similar to this, they use the example of sex or even craving of food or something. And then it was saying that once you eat the food or once you do whatever it is you wanted to do, it doesn't really satisfy the urge. You want more of it.
That's right.
And I think that's what they were saying by it's the cause of suffering, because it doesn't kill the urge. It just, you want more of it after you do it. So you got to kind of step back and recognize, well, what void am I trying to fill? What is the problem? What is what is caused? Because you eat today, you're gonna want to eat, of course, again tomorrow. So what is caused? What is this cause? What am I asking for when I keep craving this or desiring something? So I think that was part of it.
But when I read the story, I guess I'm just a little different. I mean, he wrote this list out when they were going to school. Then years later, he got married, have children, you know, making nice money. And then he going through his things and found this old list. Then he shared it with his wife. To me, his wife took advantage of that desire. So then she decides to go and find someone. Maybe that was her desire. So she figured, well, maybe I can go ahead and find a lady, so because my husband wants this, maybe he won't mind. But she fooled around with this lady for a little while. Then she shared it with her husband, and that put that man in a bad feeling. He felt really bad. So that's the reason why. But I just feel like she took advantage of it. That was something old. He probably hadn't even thought about that until he ran across that list, and then shared it with her, and she took advantage of it to me. So it's just, I don't know. I don't see a lot of the, you know, examples of things that you guys are talking about. That lady, that's just something she wanted to do. She took advantage of it.
Well, I mean, maybe that was a desire that she had.
Maybe that was. Either way, it could work.
Either way.
Both ways.
She acted on
what you
And see, the problem was that it wasn't something that, you know, she discussed. You know, there was a desire that she had that she did not.
Maybe
she was not open and honest about.
Like he was open and
exactly.
Okay.
We talked in church. Was it last week or no, week before last? You know, a couple of weeks ago, and the message was about suffering and following your bliss, like Juana said earlier in the show. And there was a song that we listened to that, you know, said, live like you're not dying. You know, live each day, you know, like this is your last day. Not, you know, how many times do we hold on to things and say, you know, I'm not gonna do this. You know, our friend our friend Nikki, you know, we play all the time about the fact that, you know, I teach aerobics here at church, and people don't realize how much I like cupcakes. Y'all know. But, you know, but a lot of people don't know how much I like them. But I'll tell anybody, you know, it's not anything that you should make a staple in your diet. Don't do that. You know, it's not, you know, your entree. But, right, you know, because all that sugar is bad for you. But in moderation. And if you're willing to work it off, that's not something that it's something that I like. And it's not something that I'm going to deprive myself of, because, you know, one thing that I was always really passionate about when I was in high school, because I had a lot of friends who were dancers and things like that, and I saw them struggle with eating disorders. And eating disorders come from repression. You know, it comes from, you know, when you were a child, your parent telling you, don't eat that. You know, you gaining too much weight. That's bad for you. And, you know, telling you you can't have the dessert because you know, already big enough. Or, you know, you can't eat this because of that, you know. And not saying, you know, that you shouldn't have restrictions, you know. You know, that's your preference on your child. But when you teach them that something is demonic, you know, then the way eating disorders come about is you then go and sneak and you gorge yourself on food, and then you need to have the feel. Then you feel depressed, and you feel like I've done wrong. Now I have to get rid of it, or you don't want the food because you say no, it's bad, you know, and my mom told me this, or you know, the other girls are, you know, they look like this, you know. And
it just creates these demons of, like we said, the root cause of why you want it now changes. You know, it becomes something that you're ashamed of, or whatever. And like they said, that monster just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. One of the solutions that, this is question number 3, it says, how can you extinguish unfulfilled desire? And I think Dr. Gibson's, one of the suggestions he said was to blow it up to a proportion that you never dreamed possible. So that kind of, to me, that meant allow to explore this desire in more than one way. Or, you know, just you know, whatever way it can come. Like this particular guy, he had this desire, but maybe if he would have stopped to think about, okay, what is really driving this? Why do I want another person in our relationship? Or why do I have this craving or this desire? If he would have explored that a little bit more, and like Dr. Gibson said, blow it up, you know, to this huge proportion, maybe he could have found another way to work this desire out. Because, you know, probably what happened was, you know, he wanted to have this experience. You know, at some point he was probably, you know, bored with his sexual marital life. That put stress on the relationship, you know, because in the back of his mind he was thinking, you know, man, I should have done that. And like Kim said, had you pursued it and been honest and said, this is who I am, this is what I want to try, and not worried about the judgment that was going to fall on you or anything, then that could have been something that, you know, you pursued. But instead you made it into something dirty and repressive, and you pushed it you pushed it down. And so when you get to making your desires bigger, like we think about the fact, you know, you say, boy, I could use an extra $500 this week, you know, and then you start feeling guilty about, you know, I need an extra $500, and there's people that don't even have $500. Don't look at it that way. You know, there's nothing wrong or dirty about wanting
500
things. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you wanting more than that. No, none of us in this room are millionaires. If we were billionaires and all of us sitting here in, you know, gold flake suits and all this kind of stuff, you know, just you know, just crazy, just crazy rich, and then we sat here and said, I really wish I could win the lottery. Now that might be some kind of problem.
Yeah.
Especially if we just got our money just sitting behind us in stacks.
Right.
Just,
Right.
you know, we just turn around here once in a while, dust the dirt off our stacks of money. You know, there may be something wrong with that.
Right.
But as long as you can grow, then I don't think there's anything wrong with you making your desires bigger. And that goes back to the, you know, previous insight on, you know, on, you know, your failures and your successes, and goes back to the dreams. This one kind of brings it all together.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah. Well, that's my final question. Out of the 9 insights, which one was your favorite?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah. What was your favorite insight? Do I need to go back through them 1 through 9?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and read them. I know which one mine is, but go ahead and read them for our audience.
Okay, the first one was about giving away a portion of your wealth to release some of the chaos in your life. The second one was saying the energy of your life will be consumed by the forces of chaos and order. The choice you make determines which will dominate your life. 3 was life is an exercise in the creation of a menu of possibilities. 4 was remember to empty your cup. 5 was your innermost thoughts are unique to the universe. 6 was as you evolve, your world evolves. 7 was when dreams speak to you, listen carefully. 8, we just went over early failure often leads to success. And 9 was about desire being the source of unhappiness.
Can we have 2?
Go ahead.
Okay. Mine would be 1 and 4.
1 and 4. Okay.
Okay. And 1 and 4 were
Giving away your
one,
wealth.
yeah, giving away your
Portion of your
portion of it. Yeah, big. No, we talked about we really talked a lot about church, and you know, I used to feel guilty when I didn't have to give. But when we, you know, read through it and then we discussed, if you're giving your time and you're enjoying doing whatever, you know, you're doing in a church, you're still giving a portion. You know, so I like that because I didn't think about it that way. And then with number 4, what
Emptying your cup.
Okay, I don't do that. I thought, you know, just talking about it, you know, I talk about Chrissy, then I talk about Kim, then I talk about Shelly. You know, I don't but then, you know, get home and I talk about it to my husband, then I call my sister. I'm not empty. I'm not letting it go.
Right.
You know, if I discuss it, because I feel like I need to discuss it. If I discuss it, it's really important to go to the person you have the problem with. But if it's just a situation, you know, discuss it, get some advice, let it go. I don't let it go. You know, then I get to dreaming about it, and then I wake up thinking about it. So I'm learning to let things go, and I feel light. I feel like I lost a couple pounds.
That's right.
It look good on you, girl.
That's good.
I have 2 as well, and empty your cup is one of my favorites.
Yes,
You know, you keep your cup empty. You gonna get your breaks.
Because my friend, Dr. Gibson told me that over a year ago that prescription, and that was part of it. To empty my cup, and and honestly, when he first told me that, I told him, I was like, that might be kind of hard.
Yeah.
I'm a doer. I'm gonna take care of
all things.
You know, you know, that's just my thing. It just automatically just come out of my hands and feet, you know. And so it was, you know, it took a lot.
With your children, they make it happen.
Right. It took a lot for me to get to a point, you know, where I could step back and do that and actually enjoy it and not feel guilty about the fact that, you know, that I did something totally by myself, which is, you know, as we prepare to go on our first cruise.
Y'all gonna be emptying cups.
Our cup is gonna be so empty. It's gonna be dry and dusty. When we come back, we're gonna have a lot to do to fill it back up. You know, it's gonna be ready. And my second favorite was about when dreams speak to you, because boy, you know, that's just my thing, and I really do love my dream time, and it's just, to me such a
It's
spiritual
exciting, yeah.
experience.
Mhm.
You know, I had a dream earlier this weekend, and when I woke up, you know, it was one of those dreams that I woke up, you know,
What?
and I was like, where am I and what's going
Yeah,
on?
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And you
That's
know, my
Christian.
head was pounding, you know, and it was like, it was like I was in it. I had felt it, you know.
Yeah.
It was, you know, that's how it was, and so you know, that's just a special thing for me. You
Yeah.
know, me and my dreams, we like this.
Yes.
That's good.
Me too. That was a good one.
Anybody else's favorite?
Mine will be your innermost thoughts are unique to the universe.
Yeah.
I just resonate with that.
Yours are one.
I mean,
you write stuff.
yeah, well, that's,
Right.
thank you. I just resonate with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I really do. I think that everybody has a treasure,
Yeah.
and that's where it is, you know. And the dreams will be definitely be second.
Yeah.
Well, mine was, I like, of course, all of them, but number 6 was a good one. It says, as you evolve, the world around you will evolve.
That's a beautiful thought.
And that kind of goes into
Yeah.
my closing thing. But it just made me realize that as you grow, the people surrounding you and your environment also evolves.
Mhm.
So whatever frequency you on, that's what you're
Mhm.
going to attract. That's what you bring to you.
Right.
And it made me really think, okay, how committed am I to being happy? Am I willing to let go of those people who don't add to my happiness, whether it be
Right.
family, friends, you know, no matter what the relationship is. And that was kind of what I had in closing was, how has the book changed you, and does it make you more conscious and more serious and committed about happiness in your life?
Right.
Are you really committed to this? Because we had 9 insights that were really good. I mean,
Right.
are quite easy things to do that we can take advantage of to
Yeah.
completely change your life.
Okay.
So it just made me think, you know, how committed am I to this? Are you really ready to give up certain things to have happiness? Do you really want to be happy? Because these were simple things that you can do.
Right. Christy, since you didn't do yours, did you have any thoughts on how you felt about the book overall?
It has, I felt when I first read it, and then as I read through the different insights, I got relief. It was like, okay. One of them was when, you know, like we discussed earlier, we supposed to take steps to make things happen for ourselves.
Right.
And one of the things that really gave me a lot of pleasure was the fact that it's okay if you get help from someone else.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Right.
We're here on this journey to help one another, to assist one another. It doesn't mean that you have to, it doesn't mean if you get help from somebody that you're any less than or you're any less successful in getting to the steps or getting to what you're after.
Yeah.
It just means that you allow the universe to yield
To
to
help
what it
you.
is that you're trying to get. So that was one of the things that I got.
Yes.
Another thing was my time. The offering, giving a portion of your wealth.
Yeah.
To me, that was good. It doesn't always mean monetary. It could be your time or whatever you have to give.
Yes, that's right.
That's a part of your wealth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You sharing it, you're making a difference with it. Give it.
Time is money.
Yeah.
That's right.
Early failures leads to your success. However that goes.
Yeah.
That I resonate with that because I'm living that right now.
Yeah.
You know, so this book has really been a guide, a helpful guide to me.
Yes.
Because it just gives me it's a refresher.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like everything is okay, and it lets you know that
Makes you
even
conscious.
if you don't get it this time, it's okay to keep trying.
Right.
If you're passionate about it, keep trying. Don't give up. And if you don't, even if it's not that you, whatever you're pursuing, even if you don't get to that, it's going to get to something. It's going to lead you to another road.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Even if it's like the boy playing the basketball.
Right.
He was wanting to be Kobe Bryant, instead of looking inside himself and what he was good at. He was looking to be Kobe Bryant. But when he was able to focus on what he brought to the table,
That's right.
he then got the fulfillment. You know what I'm saying? It was not until he started focusing on his own self that he really, embraced the beauty of himself.
Yeah.
And I think that was a good thing. So stop looking outward, look inward.
That's right. That's right.
Anybody else felt
In a nutshell.
any shifts from, during this time period over the past few weeks that we've been reading the book? Any changes?
I've really enjoyed it. I've learned some things. A lot of what Christy said, I feel the same way. But one thing that I know I need to focus more on and work on, and like I told my Taekwondo students, about your sleep time is precious. I really like that, to come and, I went back and listened to it again, preparing yourself, and I learned that dreams are important. So I've learned a lot all throughout the book. But that really got me, dreams are important. And to prepare yourself to relax. Instead of just jumping in the bed, I'm tired, and passing out. But in a cluttered room.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I went and took everything, all the bills, everything. Everything. And I'm sitting, I still got some stuff in there I'm trying to clear out. I'm like, I just started clearing out this so I can move this out of here.
Yes.
I was like,
I had confidence in the bed. I watched like last week, 2 weeks ago. Let me stop lying. 2 weeks ago, I had them on the floor. I picked that up. I had some bills on my nightstand. I get all this stuff out. I said, what else Shelley say? Okay, let me get that. And I felt so good.
Overall, it's just been a good tool to me. I mean, that's the most important thing, when you can take a book and it actually be a tool.
Yes, sir.
And you can use it. So it has made me more aware and more conscious of these things.
Absolutely.
And that's what's up right there.
Absolutely.
When you're more aware. I mean, I've always enjoyed my dreams, but I mean, it just makes you more conscious of make you more conscious of that inner self. Make you more conscious of when you're giving away things. That's what it's about.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that I got out of it too, as it working for me as a tool, because I know when I first read it, the first thing that hit me and slapped me in the face, knocked me on the floor, was, the order and chaos and the creation. Because I told y'all, I'm telling y'all, I was a soap opera addict. It was Lifetime Movie Network was on, and Lifetime Movie Network was on. The soap operas were playing on the DVR, and I had some kind of novel in my hand, all at the same time. And when I read that, I was like, I got rid of the DVR, I mean, and all of that kind of stuff. And that was something serious, for me. It was something serious for me to let go. And like Juan said, to be able to look at and discern now when I read things and I say, let me put that down and maybe not. Maybe I'm not gonna read that. Maybe I'm not gonna, necessarily watch this. And if I do, then I'm gonna watch it with a different mindset and not watch it like this. And not watch it like girl. And be all into it and be mad because Victor Newman, they got killed again. And I'm like, you gotta leave my Victor alone. I can't believe it, and I'm mad all week. Not to take on that stuff like that. Put that drama, put that drama in my life. So that was like the major. And after that, I was like, oh, let me read this book. Let me hurry up.
I know.
And finish reading this book. See what else he can tell me how to do. And it really has. Caused a shift to where I have, like one said, started to notice and pay attention to things and pay attention to my reaction to it, to things and when I'm doing something that I feel is in line with the things that I want and when it's not.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I think that's, you know.
Right.
That's it. That's what's up.
And to piggyback on what you're saying, what both of y'all said, we were right before we came. We were watching TV. I was flipping through TV, and when I turned the station, and I turned the TV on, and Girlfriends was on, and everybody knows Girlfriends was my favorite show.
Yeah.
And the commercial came on, and I flipped through the channels, and no harm. Why did I get married?
Yeah.
2 was on, and it was just going to the scene where old girl was flipping out about him asking her for all this money. She was just, I said, oh nope, I'm turning. I'm not even gonna bring this into my into my
Right.
psyche. So I turned. You know, didn't know one.
Yeah.
I turned. I said, I'm not even finna get into that mode right there. So
Right.
that was a way. That has really helped me too. You know, in that way, being conscious of what I'm partaking in.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because you don't know everything that you watching and you doing. It has something to do with your outcome and how you see things.
Right.
You know, and
You
how
are
you
writing your own
right.
Right. Like
Right.
they say, you actually do pay for your attention.
Right.
You pay when you
Right.
you pay attention to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
You're
pay.
paying for it.
Right.
You paying
Creating
for it. It
your
depends on what it
reality.
is. Depends on what
Right.
it is. That's right. That's right. That's what.
Well,
I
I
was proud of
think
myself.
that this is a very important book, and thanks to our internet family as well
Yes.
for participating.
Mm-hmm.
The next book that we're going to read, because I sent it out in the email that we're going to mention it, is The First Darkness.
Yeah.
And so this book, I mean, this is a great book. So this should be interesting to
Right.
read as a group. So
Right.
that's our next project.
Right, and be looking for the dates of when
Right.
we're gonna start doing that, because we're gonna make sure we give everybody a little bit of time to reread the book.
Right.
You know, because I know we've all read it and enjoyed it, but so that we can have a good discussion about it, go ahead and reread it and email us at mindofgracepb@gmail.com if you have any thoughts about it as they come. You know, you can go ahead and send those in, put a post on our Facebook page, you know, just let us know what you're thinking, that you're excited about, you know, about The First Darkness. And, you know.
I was gonna say, I think maybe we should take maybe a week off, take a week break, give everybody a chance to purchase the book, and maybe like you said, reread it or catch up on it, and then maybe we'll get back like in a week or so. I'll send out an email
Right.
to let everybody know where we are, what the plans are, how we're gonna read it as a group. I haven't figured that out yet, but that's the next book.
Right.
Right.
So just look for the updates and the emails, and if you're not our friend on Facebook, then like us, Grace Evangelical Baptist Church, and subscribe to our YouTube page, Mind of Grace, the Mind of Grace, and you know, we'll keep you definitely updated on what we have going on. Thank you to Dr. Gibson and Miss Kathy Gibson for this beautiful experience that we've all had a chance to share together with reading the 9 Insights. And we're going to end this with some closing words from our pastor in his physical absence, but you can listen for his closing remarks.
All right, first of all, I want to thank all of you for participating with us in our conscious book reading. It's been a very enlightening time, and I have enjoyed myself with all of my friends here on the stage, and also with all of you, your emails, your calls, your comments. It's been really fun, and we're going to continue this. The next book we're going to do is called The First Darkness, and we want you to take your time and begin to read through it, and then we're going to get back together in about 2 or 3 weeks, and then we're going to begin that discussion. It is a very enlightening book. But finally, I want to say to all of you that I hope that going through the 9 insights have given you at least one insight on how you can really make a difference and change your life. And so until then, have a great time reading First Darkness, and we'll begin our discussion in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Bye.